Consistency versus important matches. That's what we're looking at today. Those two hidden attributes that we love, that we look for in a player. Which one's better? We'll see. Here we go. We've got the squads. They've got 165 current ability. They've got 165 potential ability. They are frozen in terms of their attributes. Both teams I've chosen today have got a transfer embargo, so there'll be no outside interference. We've got Sunderland, who are the consistent ones. We'll have a quick look at Connor. There he is. His hidden attributes are 10s across the board, except 20 for consistency and 1 for important matches. And we're staying in the northeast for Middlesbrough. Yes, we're doing 2 championship teams, because I know previously in this we have done lower league teams and they just fly through the league. So I thought, why not start them a bit higher up? So here we go then. 10s for everything except 1 for consistency and 20 for important matches. It's important to note, every single player is English as well, so it'll be very interesting to see what the England managers do during this experiment. Do they get the consistent players, or do they get the players that are going to win them the World Cup final in that final? Who knows? It'd be great to see a Champions League final between these two teams. One team consistently poor in a big match, the other team inconsistent but really up for it. You know, we'll see, won't we? Anyway, in terms of the media thinks Sunderland, the consistent team, are going to go up very easily, but Middlesbrough not too far behind. The entire team for Sunderland is in the media dream 11. Yet Middlesbrough have got, as I say, they've got 165s across the board as well. Got some fantastic players, but apparently, consistency is better than important matches for the media. So without further ado, that's the end of the intro. We are going to go through 5 years to begin with to see, 1, who gets promoted, see how quickly they get promoted, and can they go on to win the Premier League in those 5 years? Well, there we go then. Sunderland and Middlesbrough both went up. Only 98 goals for Sunderland, only 88 for Middlesbrough. An unbeaten season for Sunderland with 10 draws. Middlesbrough losing to Sunderland and Blackburn, who also were promoted, who also were promoted via the playoffs. Only 2 defeats separated them all season and 6 points, as you'd expect. So, on to the Premier League then. And in the first season in the Premier League, we got 6 teams qualifying for the Champions League. We got Sunderland and Middlesbrough both taking their place. How did that happen? Did they already get a 5th coefficient place? We must have had some European wins. Anyway, both getting Champions League football at the first time of asking. And they both slipped down the following season. Sunderland in 4th, Middlesbrough down in 7th. No European football for Middlesbrough in their second season. Conference League for Brighton, who must have won the Carabao Cup. And then the following season, without Europe as a distraction, Middlesbrough have roared back, only losing out to Manchester City by 5 points, splitting the Manchester teams, with Sunderland down in 4th. We've got 5 teams in the Champions League once again. And in the most recent season, Sunderland are down in 7th, whereas Middlesbrough have remained in 2nd, this time beating Man City by a point, unfortunately losing out to Chelsea by a solitary point. On the whole, I'd say Middlesbrough slightly having the better of it, but we don't know if there's any trophies yet. We've got a championship trophy for Sunderland, but let's go and have a look at some cups. In terms of the Carabao Cup, we have not got a winner from the Carabao Cup for either of the teams. In terms of the FA Cup, we haven't got one either there. 2 for Liverpool, 1 for United, and 2 for Man City. In the Conference League, we've got no... Brighton, of course, won it. We did see... we saw them going into it, so they got and won it the following season and got themselves into the Europa League. Fair play to them. In terms of the Europa League, Liverpool won a Europa League in the second season, which is probably why we got 6 teams in the Champions League. United and Arsenal in the most recent seasons. Look at this. Arsenal gets the final of the Europa League twice, losing in 25-26, then beating Brighton the following season. And no Champions Leagues yet. Man City losing twice in the final. So there we go then. In terms of the media think they're going to be 6th and 7th, and they're actually very evenly matched at 20-1. Now, the reason we've put them at 165 current ability is because anything higher and they do just absolutely walk away with the league. So it's going to be very interesting, especially as they've not won anything at all so far. No cups whatsoever. No Carabao, no FA Cup, no European trophy, no Premier Leagues. It's going to be a very low scoring trophy haul, and I'm here. I'm all in. I'm here for it. Hope you are too. Right. So we'll quick look at the England squad and see if any of the players have got themselves caps. Big Gareth still in charge. And we have got some players. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 13 of the squad are from Middlesbrough and Sunderland. And I'd say, a lot more from Middlesbrough. You've got 3 from Sunderland. 4 from Sunderland, sorry. 9 from Middlesbrough, 4 from Sunderland. Well, they haven't won a World Cup. It was Holland, then France. And they didn't win the Euros either. Yours was taken by France. Bit of golden generation for France. Right, we're in 2027. We're going to jump forward through the 5 years. So we're last here with Middlesbrough finishing in 2nd. And the following season, they both slipped down the table. Sunderland beating Middlesbrough by 2 points. We have Champions League football for Sunderland and Europa League football for Middlesbrough. Liverpool getting relegated here. And that's probably a curse due to the fact that the entire Sunderland team is going to Liverpool at the end of the experiment. sometimes it happens like this. As you can see, Newcastle aren't in the Premier League. Middlesbrough's team are all going to Newcastle. When did Newcastle get relegated? They got relegated here, and Newcastle are actually down in League 2. Still got a front-end sugar daddy. They've got a bank balance of over £38 million. They've got a transfer budget of £120 million in League 2. Newcastle's transfer budget is £120 million, and they're in League 2. Have they just come down? They must have just come down. They have. They've just gone down from League 1, finishing 23rd. I don't think they've got anyone still halfway decent, have they? No. All regens. New gens. There you go then. Right, anyway, apologise for that little aside. Right, Liverpool went down in the most recent season. Sunderland 5th, Middlesbrough 6th. Following season, Sunderland in 3rd, Middlesbrough down in 5th. Both getting Champions League football. And we've got 3rd and 5th again for the two. They've actually swapped places. 3rd and 5th again, but this time it's Middlesbrough in 3rd, Sunderland in 2nd. A very tight top 5 here. Man City just pulling away towards the back end of the season, but we've got 4 teams separated by a singular point on the final day of the season. And again, it's 3rd and 5th. Again, Champions League football. 6 teams getting Champions League football from the Premier League this season. So we've obviously got a European trophy. Don't think it's going to be a Champions League for Middlesbrough or Sunderland. And that's where we are. We're up to date. However, in the Carabao Cup, we have had some success. We've had 2 runner-ups for Middlesbrough, a victory for Middlesbrough, and 2 wins for Sunderland, back-to-back wins in the Carabao Cup. And the FA Cup as well, back-to-back for the 2 teams. It's 1 apiece, Middlesbrough in 2030-31 and Sunderland in 2031-32. Sunderland actually coming runner-up to Chelsea in 27-28 as well. In terms of Conference League, I don't think they've really ever been in the Conference League to try and win it. Brighton have won it twice, actually, in this experiment. We've seen one of them, there's the other one. And Tottenham have won it most recently. Burnley getting to the final in 2030-31. One Burnley. Eddie Comp's still in charge at Burnley. Fair play. Nothing in the Europa League either, although Sunderland did get to the final in 27-28, losing out to Juventus. I wasn't expecting any Champions League wins, but we've actually had a Champions League runner-up. It's Middlesbrough in the final against Chelsea, most recently. And it was after extra time. Scott and Stephen both with the goals, and it was Tyrell Hart in extra time who scored for Chelsea. Noel Keeper had a shocker. Did not step up for the big match. Did not step up. Disappointing for Noel. Well then, so we've got no Premier Leagues. They're finishing very similar to each other. We've got 2 Carabao Cups to 1 for Sunderland and 1 FA Cup each. So we are looking at a very, very tight sort of face-off, really. Another 5 years then, or... But before we look 5 years more into the future, we're going to have a quick look at England. And it's Sean Dyche who's in charge. He took over from the resigning Gareth Southgate, and he's won the European International League. He's been there nearly 4 years as Sean, and he has got a lot of players from our 2 clubs. And this time, it's Sunderland who are dominating the England squad. Middlesbroughs are outnumbered 9-7. Very, very good. Okay, then let's go through 5 more years. So yes, we were here in 2031-32, where we got 3rd and 5th, and the following season we slipped down the table. Middlesbrough down in 7th. Sunderland did cling on to Champions League football, getting 5th. Fair play to them. But Middlesbrough going into the Europa League gives them a great opportunity for a trophy. And this, ironically, this poor season and losing out in terms of Premier League table position is probably going to do them actually good, because if they can go and win the Europa League, they will seriously start to pull clear in their trophy haul. Because in my opinion, a Europa League counts for so much more than a Carabao Cup. The following season, Middlesbrough getting Champions League football, finishing 5th. Sunderland getting Champions League football as well, finishing in 2nd, 4 points behind Chelsea. I think a Champions League or a Premier League win could settle this. But we've not got it this season. Sunderland did beat Middlesbrough once again in the league by a singular place. Middlesbrough getting Europa League football again, Sunderland Champions League football. Middlesbrough getting Champions League football, finishing 4th here, and Sunderland finishing in 6th. I think on the whole Middlesbrough are doing it a little bit worse than Sunderland. We might have to go down to league positioning. It gets to it, but we will see. Europa League football for Sunderland could, like I said, for Middlesbrough, could be a good thing. And again, they just swapped places. 4th and 6th. Yeah, they swapped places again. 4th and 6th. Sunderland in the most recent season finishing 4th, getting 4 wins in the last 5. Quite considerably off the pace though at the top of the league, and Middlesbrough down in 6th, getting Europa League football. Well, let's go and have a look at Carabao Cups first of all. And that 2 in a row turned to 3 in a row for Sunderland, with Middlesbrough getting 1 back the following season. So it's currently 3-2 in terms of Carabao Cups. Arsenal coming 1 up 4 seasons in a row. Unfortunate. And we're still 1 apiece in terms of FA Cups. Sunderland have come 1 up again, losing to Arsenal in the final. And looking at the Conference League, we've not qualified for it, have they? Southampton Everton, Aston Villa and West Ham in the last 4 years. An English clean sweep. We get 5th in a row. But in terms of the Europa League, well, I said if they can go and win it, it could stand them in very good stead. And they've both gone and bloody done it. Middlesbrough beating Everton in the 2033-34 season, an all Premier League affair, which was matched in the most recent season by Sunderland beating Aston Villa 2-1 in the final. And, well, they've brought a youth player through. Chris Moran has come through their youth academy. He's a potential ability of 177. He's actually worse than their current first team squad. But Mateus Almeida's got in charge of Sunderland. And in terms of the current ability, we've got quite a few players that are looking semi-decent. Chris Moran being the pick of the bunch for Sunderland. You can't account for the youth facilities, unfortunately. You can't account for the youth facilities. Middlesbrough have got a few as well. Not as good. They've got Tony Crook, who's distinctly average. I don't know how I feel about that. A youth prospect coming through and scoring 2 in the final in an important match. What's his important match statistic? Look at Angelo getting player of the season for Chelsea. Very good. 18. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, let's go and have a look at England. It's Eddie Howe who's now in charge of England, and it was Sean Dyche who resigned. Stefano Pioli retired from management. No World Cup wins and no Euro wins. And in terms of the clubs, 6 for Middlesbrough, 7 for Sunderland. So, to be honest, they're now being replaced. And obviously, they would be. I mean, look at this. Elias Farmer, Chelsea. 24.5 million they paid for him from Norwich. What a steal that is. I mean, I know he's fickle, but hey, fickle's not the worst personality trait. Great professionalism, great consistency, decent important matches, great versatility, great adaptability, good enough temperament. That'll do me. Okay, so 2045 is when they all move. I think we're going to go to 2045, 8 more years. Can any of them get that trophy, that Premier League trophy? We'll see. So we last here in 2036-37, and the following season, we've got it. Sunderland won in 2037-38, with Middlesbrough coming 4th in the Champions League places. And Sunderland have done it again, back-to-back titles with Middlesbrough in 9th. Sunderland are going to take this. They've come 2nd here and Middlesbrough in 10th. Middlesbrough getting back up into 4th. Sunderland champions again, winning on goal difference from Chelsea. Sunderland again, Middlesbrough down in 8th. Sunderland down in 3rd, Middlesbrough in 5th. Sunderland again champions. And the most recent season, Sunderland again champions, Middlesbrough down in 5th. But look at this, lost 10, drew none. Not a single draw all season. And they've got a few players now that I think are probably going to be playing quite regularly. You've got Manny McCormack. Oh, he's only just been signed for £83 million from Bayern Munich. Apologies. But Chris Moran on £300,000 a week. He's been ever present for them. If we look at conference leagues, no, none of them ever won a conference league. Did we get that 5 in a row? No, we didn't. Burnley and Leicester have won a couple very recently, though. In terms of the Europa Leagues, Middlesbrough have won another Europa League. So they're ahead in Europa Leagues, but they're so far behind in actual Premier Leagues that, disappointingly, I don't think that they're going to do it. I mean, they've not really bought many players through. Champions Leagues, Sunderland have got a Champions League. They came run up to Real Madrid. They beat Bayern Munich in the final over there. Yeah, so Sunderland have taken it, haven't they? They've taken it. Current FA Cup holders as well, beating Middlesbrough in the final. That's nice to look at. Winning on penalties. Wow. Chris Moran actually had a rubbish game. Big important match. So, what are you going to do? Middlesbrough went down to 9 men. But yeah, Sunderland have taken multiple FA Cups ahead of Middlesbrough. They've pulled away since we were last here. Another 3 for them, 2 run-ups for Middlesbrough. But, 2037-38. No, Middlesbrough beat Sunderland as well in the final. So they've actually beat each other in the final at least once each. That's quite satisfying. Carabao Cup. Middlesbrough have got another Carabao Cup. Sunderland have got another couple. There you go. That's basically where we're at in terms of England. Ellis Sims is in charge. They've won a World Cup in 2042. Most recent World Cup. Kane full of love, repping it for Everton and Barcelona. And in the final against Serbia, it was a Kane full of love hat-trick when England won the World Cup. Fair enough. Right, so all the players are going to go now. Liverpool are in the Vanarama National League, as are Newcastle. So both of these teams are going to be in the Vanarama National League. I have actually simulated forward. Hands down, Sunderland have won the experiment in terms of the players. However, going forward, what's going to happen? We have simulated forward a few more years. We like to do this at the end, don't we, gang? So, I'm going to go through just to where I've sim to, see how Newcastle and Liverpool have recovered, and have Middlesbrough and Sunderland, how have they done since all the players have left? And that'll be it. So, since we were last here, we have seen nothing from Sunderland or Middlesbrough. We'll go and check in on Sunderland first. Domestic League, so 2045-46, they finished 7th, and they've actually been basically qualifying for the Champions League every single season. 12th was their worst finish in 2051-52. As you can see, they are 5th there, but Middlesbrough are in 4th. The fair play to Middlesbrough, they've actually managed to remain within touching distance, but since the players have left, they've had a worse time of it. They've been finishing mid-table. Only just recently, in the last couple of years, getting back into that Champions League sort of picture. In terms of Carabao Cups, nothing for any of them. In terms of FA Cups, nothing for any of them. No Champions Leagues for either of them in the last few years. Sunderland have most recently, current Europa League holders. They also won it in 2049-50, so 2 Europa Leagues since Sunderland lost all their players. Nothing in the Conference League, so Middlesbrough very much trophyless. This guy got 2 in the final. Look at that, 137 caps, 87 goals for Belgium. Pretty good player, beating Tottenham in the final. At Stephen Gerrard Park, which is where Liverpool play, who are 13th in the Sky Bet Championship. So they went down to the Vanarama National League and they were there in 2045-46. They won the league, only losing 1 game. The players must have hung about. One in League 2, getting promoted. Some of them must have hung about, some of them probably didn't. Then in League 1, it took a couple of seasons to get up. They went to the Championship, they came back down, they went back up a couple of seasons later, and they are now rocking it in the Championship. Newcastle, unfortunately, in League 2. They did come up in 2nd place, so they won the playoffs in the Vanarama National League. They went to League 2. They came back down, though, unfortunately, so a lot of their players must have retired. However, they managed to recover. They went up in the Vanarama National League. No, sorry, they didn't. They came 2nd. They didn't win the playoffs that season. Then they went up from the playoffs in 3rd, got to League 2, remained there until they went up. Then they came back down. In the most recent season, they finished mid-table in League 2. They have no longer got a sugar daddy. Their sugar daddy has gone. Yeah, there we go then. So no more World Cups, but 2 Euros for England, one in 2014, one in 2052. Did any of our players win Golden Ball, Footballer of the Year? Let's have a quick look at that before we round off the experiment. No, they didn't. No one won Footballer of the Year. In terms of Golden Ball, again, no one won it. Well, there we go then, gang. That's it. Hope you've enjoyed this one. A lot of fun. Consistency over important matches, in my opinion, but I think most people would probably go along with that anyway. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any ideas of other attribute verses that you'd like me to do, let me know in the comments down below. If you liked it, as always, please drop a like on it. If you haven't already, subscribe, and yeah, go and watch this video. What an epic masterpiece this one was. Whatever YouTube decides to throw up there. Too lazy to do it myself. Take care, gang, and I'll see you soon.